Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about chapters 23, 24, and 25 of The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. We read them. We're going to discuss them. We're not going to discuss them before reading them, although that might be an interesting attempt at a format. We're not that adventurous. In these chapters, Kaladin he's making some moves. He's trying to make things happen for himself, for the crew, and without relying on, he's got a couple friends or associates now, but I just mean without relying on the establishment to do anything for them. And then we've got Dalinar, who is the establishment, and he's trying to get something new going, and it's not going super well. And then we meet in Kaladin's past the replacement Bright Lord for their town, and that also doesn't go super well. Anyway, I'm Data, and with me today is
Joe. It's Joe. Hey, it's me. I'm back.
It's Jaymee. I'm still
and
here.
Dac.
James. Like, haven't gone anywhere. I'm not sure who that first guy was. You might need to repeat it a couple more times. Just we all get the hang of it.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin. So yeah, 3 more chapters. Once again, we've got some Bridgeman Kaladin, some Young Man Kaladin going on in Dalinar. I think we got a nice sprinkling of the even a little Adolin in there. So what did you guys think of these 3 chapters?
They were chapters. I wasn't here last week. I don't know if you guys remember that.
What?
So, yeah, I know. And so I didn't read the previous section until today as well. So I read a big chunk all at once. So it's kind of blurred. It's all jumbled in my brain. But I will say the thing that I find most interesting right now is the epigraphs. But yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I get it. We're getting extra background story, but the flashback Kaladin stuff, I'm having trouble caring about it. And the Dalinar stuff, I feel like it's moving too slow. I really wish we could just focus on current Kaladin, which I assume all these stories are going to collide at some point. But I don't know. It's starting to drag a little bit to me. I feel like we need something more interesting to happen and soon.
To be fair, young Kaladin collides with the current story somewhere in the past, I guess.
Sure.
Unless young Kaladin is actually a separate character from older Kaladin. Wouldn't that be a twist?
What the twist?
That would be so weird, but kind of interesting. Imagine if you got through a whole book and then realized they were different people.
That would be a mind bender. Yeah.
I'd be so mad.
You spent the whole book being like, oh, I see why he's the way he is now. And then, oh, no. Okay. It turns out Kaladin's just a really common name. Okay.
Just putting all of this meaning into all these things. How many Kaladins are surgeons? Okay, cool. I mean, technically this one didn't become a surgeon.
It's what are the odds?
Yeah.
They both had a younger brother named Tien.
Yeah. His name's it's a name like Mark. No, what it is current Kaladin is actually he knew Kid Kaladin, and Kid Kaladin died, and he stole Kid Kaladin's identity.
Oh, he stole his identity.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's a Don Draper situation.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
Is that a spoiler for that show? Because
for Mad Men that came out in 2005, yeah I guess.
Okay.
But
I never watched that show, so I was like, is that a spoiler, or is that something that's just known at the beginning of the show?
No, it's a spoiler, but I mean, you've had enough time. Come on.
It's Seymour Skinner all over again.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Mad Men actually started in 2007. That was my bad. But either way.
Oh, geez, can't even get your Don Drapers right.
Right. Good old John Hamm.
It's Jamie's turn.
Sorry, I'm here. was too focused on spoilers and what would happen if Kaladin was actually not Kaladin. Sorry, got confused. Okay, here I am. Jamie, hi. I'm on the Sanderlanche. It's great. Here we go. Okay. So these chapters, I liked the Kaladin flashback. I think that, assuming that it's the same Kaladin, I'm looking forward to seeing when it all comes together and exactly what happened to how he got where he is now. But I like all the learnings and the teachings and the bit with his mum. I thought that was quite a good scene. I really loved Rock and Kaladin and what's his name? Starts with T. The other guy.
It's Teft.
I was like, Tien? No, I know that's a name, but I know it's not the right one. Yes, I really loved hearing like Rock's story and talking about what he did to Prince Thaddeus's food. That was pretty funny. But it was nice for them to have a moment of just in this horrific environment, they were able to share and bond, and I think that was really, really good. And Dalinar, I'm worried about him. Not necessarily because of like him and his visions, but everyone else around him just seems to be a real dick about it. And I feel bad for him. But pretty big encounter between him and his son. So also another reference to Adeline's dating.
Yep. The main story. We talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just like The Bachelor for Adeline. This is really where this is going to go. But no, I'm enjoying it. I think it's it's a really big book. I would feel like at this point now you'd be looking for a bit more, but I think the story is so detailed that I'm quite enjoying it. I think the pace is moving all right, and yeah, keen to keep reading.
Yeah, you made a good point that I'd kind of forgotten that. Yes, we got Dalinar. Yes, we got Adolin, but we get like the confrontation between them, which since we've known them, that's not even that many chapters. We started at chapter 12, so about 10 chapters at this point that we've known them. This is like we've been building to this kind of, I think, and so to see it kind of erupt.
I don't think it's a surprise that we've gotten there, but it's it was a bit of a moment for them. It's definitely been building, and I'm glad that they've Adeline's got to say a few things, but I do feel bad for Dalinar.
Yeah, and probably more because we've been in Dalinar's head. We saw the vision or whatever, and so it's harder for us to think like Adolin does that it's all in his head because we've been there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Adolin's position is really reasonable if you're in his perspective.
Well, absolutely, and that's the thing. Like he's just trying to look out for him as well, and sort of state the obvious. Well, for someone who's seeing what he's seeing, like give Adolin a vision and maybe his perspective will change. But yeah, I get it. Like it's a bit of a hard moment really for them.
We shall have to see how this relationship develops. Are they is father and son gonna turn against one another, or will they come together? Who knows?
I like to think they'll come together.
That would be nicer. I will agree.
It would be nicer, but not all is rosy here. So we'll see how we go.
Well, no, I mean, the Kaladin chapters let you know that right up front, that everything is not nice in this place.
Yeah, for sure.
I like Rock. Rock is cool. Yeah, I think my favorite part of these chapters was his story and where he came from and putting crab shit in the food, like everywhere in the food. Like I found that hilarious.
Yep.
I know that toilet humor can be fairly gross, but I believe if it's done well enough and it doesn't oversaturate whatever piece of media you're consuming, it can be really funny. And this was a good example of that. I really liked it. Flashback was just kind of depressing. Dalinar and Adolin stuff was pretty cool. I don't know where that's gonna go, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, I think grim things on the horizon for Dalinar, and I don't think he's got long left. So we will see. But yeah, on the whole, like these, I think like Joe said, these are chapters. I think things are starting to they just feel a bit okay. We need to hit the gas again on some of these stories. So yeah, we'll see.
I like your thought on toilet humor because I agree. It's like if you use it sparingly, which is not how Rock used the chaldung in his meal, but if you use it here and there and it's not too crude, then yes, it can be fun. Yeah,
it can be. It is very easy to fuck up and overdo, but this was done really well.
I mean, some of the things that we've had Wit say, where I'm just like, okay, that's a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good example of going the other direction. It's like, oh, okay, we're just doing that now.
But then Wit, he when he raises the sophistication level of his toilet humor, and he talks about biscumber or whatever, then I'm like, okay, we're now I feel like a sophisticated toilet. No, that's not right.
I feel like a bidet.
But yes, I agree with you. I think at this point, Rock is the bright point of the story, just because there's a lot of downer material in here, and Rock is while he is not also in a bad situation, he gives us something to be amused by.
Yeah, and he seems good natured about it, even though his situation is awful.
Yeah, he's surprisingly upbeat given where they are.
Yeah,
although it doesn't stop him from like insulting everyone else. It's like, you're all dumb, airsick lowlanders.
Yeah,
just part of the charm. Okay, well, I guess let's get into these 3 chapters. Chapter 23 is called Many Uses, which before you read it, it's like, okay, that's really vague. And then after, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. But as Joe points out, the epigraphs are remaining interesting. We've just been talking about this race guy and in the previous epigraphs and how he holds like the most horrible of all the shards or whatever. And now the writer says, you have accused me of arrogance in my quest. You have accused me of perpetuating my grudge against Race and Bavadin. Both accusations are true. And so not only is this race guy on the writer's shit list, but Bavadin, who we kind of know.
Yeah.
The
autonomy.
Good old Bobbity.
So, you know what? Given what we know of autonomy, I'm gonna say that if you're gonna have an enemy, that's not a bad choice.
Well, I mean,
if guys who are jerks.
If you want to stay alive, it could be a bad choice because.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I guess we assume this is Hoyd. He's lasted this long, so.
That's true. Yeah. Well, and if it is Hoyd, if you guys are making the correct assumption, then we know that apparently Hoyd has it out for autonomy, and maybe that makes what we saw in the Lost Metal, where he's really helping Wax out in some ways, unexpected ways.
That makes sense.
So maybe it all fits together, or maybe the writer of this letter is actually Wax or something. Who knows? I mean, this book takes place before we met Wax.
Like Wax hasn't been born yet.
Yeah. Also, didn't we pretty definitively say that we think this is Hoyd, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
Seems like it.
So yes, let's we'll if you guys are all pretty certain it's Hoyd, we'll just say Hoyd for now until we learn otherwise.
Yeah, I'm certain it's Hoyd. I'm certain this racy fellow is Odium.
Okay.
As previously mentioned. I think
remind me where we heard the name Odium from again?
I was in the Lost Metal. At one point, Moonlight was talking to Marasai and mentioned, there was this one shard that was called Odium, and he tried to kill all the other shards. And then
that does sound like that might be describing this guy.
In one of the previous epigraphs, it was like, he tried to kill everyone. I'm like, well, that seems to line up.
Yeah, he went to Cell and did some bad shit. Yeah, that does sound bad.
Yeah,
he took out Aona and Sky on Cell. I mean, how one of these shards takes out 2 other ones? That's a real question. But
well, I mean, I would feel like Harmony could probably do it if he wanted to.
You think so?
Sure,
Harmony
he's got 2
had trouble
shards.
standing up against autonomy.
That's because he didn't want to do anything.
Well, yeah, that's part of the problem. Sure.
I mean, they say unless someone picks up the shard power, it says that specifically, not only were they killed, but their power was
splintered,
shattered. Splintered. I thought it was shattered.
It says Aona and Sky are both dead, and that which they held has been splintered.
Okay. So yeah, all right. I was thinking if it's shattered, then maybe there's just some magical ice pick, and he's driven it into the shard power, and that's just scattered things everywhere.
The subtle knife, just right in there.
Hey, hello.
That would be a crossover no one expected.
And no one wanted.
Yeah, no, I'm not. So yeah, maybe Race has a secret weapon. But I do it's like you're saying I'm perpetuating my grudge against these 2? Well, yeah, totally. And then in the next one we'll get that doesn't make what I've said untrue.
Fuck these guys.
Race continues to suck whether or not I have a grudge against him. So, but yes, some very interesting. I agree with Joe. Some of the most interesting stuff here to me is these epigraphs, this letter or whatever that's being written here.
It's very much it's interesting to us because we have the foreknowledge. If we'd started with Stormlight, this would all mean nothing.
Yep, 100%. Which, hey, maybe that's part of the reason why we didn't start with Stormlight.
Yeah, I figured. I'm on to you.
But if we're comparing, if Race and Bavadin are comparable, then we know Bavadin is trouble, although not, invincible, or at least not unbeatable, I guess I should say.
We don't know if Bavadin's killed any other shards before, so
that's true. It sounds like Race and whatever his shard is, whether it's Odium, whether it's something else, it sounds like Race has killed at least 2 other shards, unless he went down to Cell and just like heckled them into killing each other. Or, I don't know, Maybe he's just like he's got like the stand-up comedy shard, and
he's like, "Come on, do it,
do a flip,
do a flip."
He told me you look like a dork. He looks like a dork.
Hey, Devotion told me that you're whack. Who said I'm whack? What? Take it back. That's
You think you're gonna talk to Dominion that way?
Okay, so the actual story. Kaladin is hanging out in a wagon while all the guys in the bridge crew bring him rocks. And they're all pissed off because they had an easy job scheduled and he traded for the most difficult, annoying job. Right, it's not difficult as in complex, but difficult as in like backbreaking manual labor of lifting rocks and carrying them around. And of course, as the boss, Kaladin gets to supervise by being over here at the cart and getting the rocks that people bring and stacking them up, which is probably not helping his popularity, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But while that's happening, he has Teft and Rock out here looking for what's it called? The reeds.
I just called them reeds.
I've already forgotten.
Some reeds.
Yep, he's got them hunting down these reeds that we know they have the sap or mucus or whatever it's called inside of them that is the antiseptic. That's why he's changed for the more difficult job, because he saw this plant growing out here and he's like, well, if I can't buy it, I'll make my own. And there it says that they're doing okay finding the reeds, knobweed. That's what it's called, the knobweed. But it really takes off when he has Syl start leading Rock around to find more of them, because she's quick. She can fly around invisibly and find all the stuff. Apparently they didn't tell Teft because he keeps being upset about how much more Rock is finding than he is. And then here's Dunny again. You got your favorite bridgeman.
Just, oh god, there's knobweed in the Dunny. Ah!
And also Earless Jax, who I don't remember if we'd heard that name before, but it stands out for sure.
Yeah. Does he not have ears? Like,
it'd be bad enough. Yeah, like are his ears actually gone, or can he just not hear anyone, or what? But like, imagine if you had lost your ears to then be called Earless Jax. Like,
he's like, my name is Jeffrey. It's not even Jack, you bastard.
Maybe
nearly headless. Why are you nearly headless?
Maybe it's to specify there's actually another guy on the crew whose name is also Jax, but he's only got one ear, so they had to differentiate them. It's like, all right, that's one ear Jax and that's earless Jax. It's like, what is it with guys named Jax losing their ears? What happens if one ear Jax loses his other ear? What are we going to do then?
It's a good question. You just call him Jack 1 and Jack 2.
I was going to remember that.
Yeah, which one are you? Are you 1 or 2? I'm 3. Damn it, we got another one.
Got another Jax? Does he have his ears? No. Fuck!
What would you call the guy that did have the ears if you were calling, like, if Earless Jax was just Jax and a guy who shows up and it's like, oh, now this is Jax, but he has ears. Is he eared Jax, or do you change the old Jax's name?
Eared Jax.
Eared Jax.
Or eerie Jax, that kind of has a different connotation, but... Oh, poor earless Jax. I want to picture that he's a guy with 2 ears and he can hear perfectly well. It's just like a weird nickname he got some other way. He had a collection of ears and they were stolen.
He just didn't listen to his mom. Like, what, have you got no ears?
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
From childhood, he's been earless Jax. Now you got me thinking, is like Gaz only has one eye. Are we gonna be able to see like one-eyed Gary, or?
No, he's just Gaz of the fuckwit.
Yeah, that's a good differentiation, as long as we don't get another stupid one.
I would like this question to be raised to Brandon for Brandon's word of the week. Or yeah.
If he could answer this question for us, I would be super happy as to why Earless Jax is in fact Earless Jax.
I wonder if that's been answered. I'm going to search for it, and if it is, we're going to have it at the end of the episode.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Earless Jack's name is spelled too similarly to Alamancer Jack. Damn it.
Oh no.
All the results are about Alamancer Jack. Oh well. Maybe he has no ears. He's swapped planets after he lost his ears.
Oh, this is Alamancer Jack after oh shit, what was his Kif's name?
Oh, Handerwim.
Handerwim. It's like Handerwim finally got sick of his shit. They parted ways. They had that whole thing about the royalties of the stories. Alamancer Jack fell on hard times. He hitched a ride to another planet, wound up in a bridge crew, lost his ears.
It could happen. Stranger things have happened, probably, maybe.
In fact, maybe
I was like, they did?
Actually got both ears. But when he said he was an Alamancer, people couldn't understand what the hell he was talking about and thought he said Alamancer. Earless? Sure, why not? Close enough.
He's got an accent from Scadrial, you know. They're heavily accented. You just didn't know.
French.
So Kaladin is like using the pretense of having to, I guess, repeatedly rearrange the rocks in the wagon, which once again just is going to look to everyone else like him doing absolutely no real work, and everyone's going to be pissed off. But he uses these moments to like tie the reeds into bundles and then like tie them under the wagon, because they've determined that it's not against the rules or anything to come out here and take these reeds. But if somebody knew that the bridgemen wanted them, they would find an excuse to say, no, you can't have them. So we're not even going to ask permission. And so he's like, the apothecary said you get 1 drop per stem. We're going to need a whole bunch of drops. So, all right. And Kaladin says, if we get caught, then just tell them I'm a weaver, and I'm going to use these to make myself a hat. Maybe I will do that. And Rock's just like, I miss the peaks. I also like that Syl likes Rock. He's respectful, unlike the others, who mostly can't see her, so I don't know what she expects. But
I don't respect this thing that I have no idea exists.
He's also too respectful. I led him to a patch of chul dung as a prank. He didn't even yell at me. He looked at it as if trying to figure out some hidden meaning. That's not normal.
Well, now what we know about his story, maybe he's thinking like, wait, does it know what I did?
That's probably it.
Is it trying to tell me I'm being punished? Because I mean, I already knew I was being punished. That's why I'm a bridgeman.
Cal keeps trying to strike up conversations with the other bridgemen as they bring rocks by, but they all just hate him for for the crap he's pulled. We have one bridgeman named Scar, who Kaladin specifically points out he can't see any scars on the guy, but or is it spelled differently? So
you want to know how I got these scars? What scars? That's a good point.
And so Kaladin and Syl have a discussion, and it basically ends up with Kaladin's like, we have to do something else. I have to show them that life isn't just about surviving, that life is in some way going to be worth living. Got to make them care again. And she's like, okay, but how can you do that? And he's like, I don't know, but I think we're going to need a lot more reeds. So I don't know what kind of plan is Kaladin going to come up with? Any maybe it's a little early for predictions.
He's going to have a party where they eat reeds? I don't know.
I brought us food. It's terrible food.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. It's like he's trying to get these reeds, which I get, the guys will survive with the healing, but like he only got him and Rock to agree to like give food. So like what how are they going to do that part?
I feel like the one guy can still walk. There should be a way to like nudge him into walking up to he's just like in shock. There should be a way to get him to go and get food, and no one will realize he's one of the injured or whatever.
Just weekend to Bernie's him up. Oh, he's mute.
Always been mute. This is mute Jimmy, didn't you know? He's very famous.
We call him Talkative Jim.
That's what it is. All the nicknames are opposites.
Yep.
How mad would you be? Oh, maybe Earless Jack just has really big ears. That could be the thing. How mad would you be, like, so the injured don't get to eat, right? You can't do the bridge run, you can't have food. How mad would you be if you just like cut your hand and you were perfectly fine in every other regard? It's like now you get to starve because you've got a sore hand. They would suck. Like, not okay.
They said they leave you behind if you can't walk. So I assume that the hand thing, like, you probably have to like wrap it up in something and just like carry the best you can. But as long as you can walk, I think you can make it back to
the way.
If you can't walk back by yourself, so if you can walk back, if you're just like somewhat injured, then they'll still look after you.
I don't know if they'll look after you. They won't leave you to die.
Well, no, correct.
You get to figure the rest out yourself.
Yeah.
That's my assumption anyway. We haven't seen. I mean, everybody, like, Kaladin's gotten injured at least once a little bit on one of these bridge runs, right? So I don't think there's any medical attention going around. I feel like he got sliced by an arrow or something. Maybe I'm making that up. So after all is said and done that night, they have to sneak into the place where the wagons are kept because all of the reeds are still tied to the bottom of that wagon. And apparently it's not super safe to be a bridgeman just strolling around after dark with all of Sadeas' soldiers drunkenly strutting about the place. But with 3 of them together and one of them being like a big brawny horn eater, it's like, okay, mostly they'll leave us alone.
No one fucks with Ivan Drago.
And Teft is just like, I don't like this. I'm going back to camp. And Rock says, you will be staying. Like, you think I'm scared of a lumbering chull like you? I'll go if I want to. And then Kaladin's like, Teft, we need you. And that seems to have an effect on Teft, this being needed.
Yeah.
And they get to the yard where the chull are sleeping and the wagons are hanging out. And the chull are valuable enough that they have this one boy watching over them, even though they're in the middle of the war camp. I don't know how you're going to steal a bunch of chull and sell them elsewhere. Like, somebody will notice you trying to leave the war camp with the chull, but whatever. But
there's actually a vicious rumor going around that someone's been using chull dung to spice people's food, and it's less about protecting the chull from being stolen, but people coming in to take the waste product.
Yeah, no, it makes sense now.
There's a weird black market on crab shit. Why is that? I don't know, but your dinner tastes like garbage.
Yeah, my new cookie's just not working out.
Yeah, everything tastes the same. I don't get it. It's like gritty and I don't know. It's got a weird funk to it.
And so they get the reeds, and Syl finds them some bottles, or mostly not broken bottles. Or there's a bunch of broken bottles, and there's some not broken ones in them, or something like that. And so, okay, we've got the reeds. We've got a place to put the juice that we squeeze out of them. Now it's time to go somewhere where we won't be noticed and milk them, I guess is what you would call it.
Sure.
And I like how they get out here. It's the middle of the night, so it's dark out here in this random spot. And Callan's like, any spheres? And Teft's like, why? For light, Teft. Oh, okay. I was going to spend these tonight, but whatever. Spend them after this, probably.
Oh, no. Now Kaladin's touched them. They're going to be done within like 5 minutes.
Maybe, yeah. And so he squeeses the first reed, and he gets 2 drops out. He's like, hey, there's double what I was expecting already. Sweet. So knobweed sap or knobweed milk is a very powerful antiseptic. Teft's like, anti what now? It scares away rot spren. That's what it does. And it's like, why do you care about these guys? Well, they're my men. That's not what being bridge leader means. It means whatever we decide it means. And so while they're just sitting here milking these reeds, Callan's like, Rock, how did you even end up down here? Like, how did a horn eater leave his mountains and come down here and end up on a bridge crew? And that's where we get Rock's story. Turns out that his people, they have no shard blades. And the leaders among his people are like, if one of us gets a shard blade, we'll be so badass that we'll end up like king of the whole place. So every once in a while, one of these rich horn eaters comes down with his whole entourage and tons of stuff and is like, hey, I'll put up all of these riches against one of your shards in a duel. If I win, I get to keep the shard, and if you win, you get all the stuff. And this guy, Rox Nuatoma, as it's called, challenged Sadeas, thinking that maybe a guy with just armor will be easier to beat than a guy with like armor and a blade, which to me seems like a fair thought there. I would think that that's where I would want to start too. We don't hear much about the fight except that Rox Nuatoma lost, and so Sadeas took possession of all of his stuff, including all of his people that he brought down with him. And it's a weird situation because Kaladin's like, wait, so you're a slave? And he's like, no, we don't have slaves. I was his family. So he's this guy's family, but he's also in some way property that he can lose if he loses a duel, but not a slave. Like, it's a very, I don't understand it. So this guy was his cousin who lost. And so Sadeas is like, well, what do I do with all these horn eaters? Like I just won a bunch of horn eaters in a bet. What am I going to do now? And I do like, Teft is like, man, be like the servant of your relative? I'd rather die. I think I would. And Rock's like, it's not so bad. You don't know my relatives. That's a good bit. And Rock's like, what, you'd rather serve someone you don't know? Like Sadeas? Lowlanders, you have too much air here. Makes your mind sick. And Cal's like, what? How can you have too much air? This thing is difficult to explain.
He says, you can. Believe me, you can.
You have too much air. Come to the peaks. You will see. And I like Kaladin's like, no, really, you got lucky. Like, he wouldn't have given your guy the shard even if he'd won. And Teft is like, no. That's not how it works.
Every time they say horn eater, by the way, I keep thinking of the mean Ronsos in Final Fantasy X. They're like, hornless.
Yep. I can see that.
It's messed up.
And they live, up in the mountains too, so it fits. Somebody ate Kimari's horn. It's messed up. And so they're like, what kind of servant were you? And he's like, oh, I was a cook. My new Otoma would not come down to the lowlands without his own cook. Your food here, it has so many spices you cannot taste anything. Might as well be eating stones powdered with pepper. And we find out that horn eaters are called horn eaters because they eat the outsides of the things they catch, like the horns and the shells. And Rock's like, yeah, we have very strong teeth. You know, it tastes so good. But he didn't become a bridgeman for putting horns or shells in Bright Lord Thaddeus's food. He's like, I enhanced the soup. He said, I was very angry about my cousin's death. And I figured you guys can't taste anything anyway with your tongues all scorched by the spicy stuff you eat. So yeah, he put chul dung into the soup and also in the bread and as a garnish on the pork steak. And he made a chutney out of it. Chul dung, it has many uses, I found. Oh, man, that's like this guy was like on Iron Chef, but the ingredient was chul dung, basically.
Sure.
Iron Kukaru. Rock is a zinc saucier. It's fine.
I'm 40% iron.
Food.
See, I would argue that by just putting chul dung in things, I wouldn't argue that that's a use for chul dung.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it, but you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it would need to taste good to be a use,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
He's like, apparently it has more a stronger flavor than I thought.
Oh, this got me so much. I thought it was so funny.
Oh, Rock. It's the best. And so, yeah, I understand why you're a bridgeman now. If I was Sadius, I would although I do wonder, like, did Sadius ask, like, hey, what's in this? This tastes terrible. It's like, this tastes like shit. Oh, yeah, there's shit in there. Or if, like, did the food just taste bad so Rock got kicked out? Like, why would you admit what you used in there? I doubt that Sadius knows the taste of chul dung. Maybe.
There's someone in Sadius' staff who's like, this tastes familiar. I think I've had this before.
It's a delicacy back where I come from.
Yeah. Let's see. It tastes like ocean water and shit. It's got to be chul dung.
And they're sitting here having a good time, laughing at this crazy story. And Callan's like, this is what we need. This is what we've been missing. And Rock's like, chul dung? This is a thing you need? It's like, no, I'll show you. But first we need this knobweed sap. And then they ask Kaladin, like, why are you here? Sorry.
You know, knobweed.
And Kaladin doesn't want to say, but he's like, I mean, you made Rock share. It's only fair. And Kaladin, once again, what we know is he killed a guy. And this time we get a little more information. It wasn't murder. In fact, I was thanked for it by someone very important. Turns out that light eyes don't react very well when you turn down their gifts. And that is more or less where we end this chapter. So every detail we find out about what happened to him to make him a slave just makes it weirder and more curious. So the next thing that we get is an illustration of a giant crawfish monster attacking a city.
Yeah. Powerpuff Girls. Sure.
So yeah, for what that's worth. And then chapter 24 is the gallery of maps.
We did not get that.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope, that's not in our book.
Huh. All right. Hold on. I'll share this image. I wonder if it ends up in a weird place in the Kindle version, because it does seem like a random location for this picture to be. But here, I'll put it in the Facebook chat that we have going.
It was in my version.
Oh, you have a physical copy?
No.
Oh, let's say I think I sent you the same Kindle version that I have. So that would make sense that it's also in yours.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look in one of my hard copies and find out if it's in that same place there. But not now. Now we push.
Yeah, it looks like a still from Metalocalypse. We just need Death Clock like playing some instruments in the background.
I can see that.
There was back in the 60s a Godzilla monster. It was basically just a giant prawn called Ibira. And this reminds me of that. Ibira probably fit right in on this planet.
Yeah. To me, this looks like what's that thing they fought in the other chapter?
Chasm Fiend.
Chasm Fiend?
Yeah. To me, that feels like what that is, but maybe
probably not.
Yeah. Ibira, Horror of the Deep.
Yep. That was the first Godzilla movie I ever saw as a kid.
This cover is very busy. There's a Mothra on here and a Godzilla, and I can barely see Ibira, but it does look kind of like that. Anyway, sorry, back to the thing. I already read the epigraph from this one. It's very short. It's like, neither point makes the things I have written to you here untrue. So the Hoyd theory, in theory, is he's got a grudge against these guys, but that doesn't make what I'm telling you incorrect.
Yeah, you may call me an asshole, and you would be right, but that does not mean they are also not assholes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so Dalinar is hanging out in the gallery of maps, which has a big ass map on the wall of like the known I almost said platforms, the known
plateau.
Plateau, thank you. The known plateaus are on this big map with all the bridges labeled and all that stuff. And apparently the High Princes like control certain plateaus, and you can't pass through another High Prince's plateau on your way to like a raid or whatever without their permission. So having better and more plateaus gets you to the gem hearts faster, which we also find out in this chapter. Sadeas has been buying up some plateaus from the other High Princes. And then we have High Prince Royan, who we find out as things progress is like basically the least wealthy or powerful of the High Princes. And Dalinar is approaching him to be like, hey, why don't you work with me on a plateau raid? I mean, we kind of dance around the point at first talking about like, man, what's out in the center of the Shattered Plains? We've never made it that far. Who knows? We even get a little bit about like this one tower, or sorry, this one plateau called the Tower, which they can never win a skirmish there because it's so close to the Parshendi side. They always get there first. But eventually it comes down to like, what if we work together? Maybe we could do better, win more gem hearts that way. And Royan's like, it's not about more troops. Like, you can only put so many troops on a plateau. If more troops would help, I would send more of my own troops. And Dalinar's like, yeah, but we have like specialties. Like, each of us has an army that's better at this or that, that, or the other. He's like, you have awesome archers. I have like the best cavalry, I think he says. If we work together, we use our strengths to help each other, then we can win more stuff. And Royan is he's worried about the rumors about Dalinar, or maybe not even worried. He's kind of prodding at Dalinar to be like, yeah, but I've heard, the stuff about you. Some are saying that it's time for you to abdicate in favor of your son. And Dalinar's like, well, they're wrong. They're wrong if they claim I no longer care. I care about this. That's why I suggest we pursue an aggressive course from now on. And Dalinar, he kind of gets Dalinar to sweeten the pot a little bit. He's like, what happens if we capture like a shard blade? And Dalinar is like, well, I mean, yeah, whoever wins the shard blade gets it. He's like, well, yeah, but that would be you, because you and your son already have shards. That makes it easier to win more. And so despite the promise that he's made to Renarin, that Renarin would get the next shards he won, he sweetens the pot by being like, hey, okay, if we capture one, you get the first set and I get the second set. How about that? But it's still not quite enough to talk him into it. Royan's like, let me think about that. And by the end of the chapter, I think we get the impression that Dalinar, from what he says to Adolin, that he doesn't think that Royan's going to go for it. He thinks maybe it was a mistake to start with like the weakest of the High Princes. He thinks like I'm out to maneuver him in some way to take advantage of him. So here comes Adolin. How'd the meeting go? And he's like, yeah, I'm proving far worse at diplomacy than I once was at war making, Dalinar says. And I also like that Adolin quotes something. He's like, there hasn't been peace since the Tranquiline Halls. Man's life on Roshar is conflict. Is a quotation from The Arguments, which Dalinar says, quoting scripture at me. You? So I like that their scripture is called The Arguments. That's even an aggressive name for scripture.
As foretold by our prophets, life sucks and won't get any better, so don't bother trying.
Yeah. Peace is ridiculous. Don't even think that it's a possibility.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
So speaketh Lord Ultron. Peace was never an option.
I mean, once everyone's dead, it'll be peaceful. Pretty sure that was Ultron's whole deal.
Pretty much.
And Adolin's like, oh, well, you see, Malasha is rather religious. So earlier today I was... Wait. Who's Malasha? Daughter of Bright Lord Sevix. What about that other girl, Janala? Yeah, things are rocky there. Malasha seems like a better prospect. So yeah, Adolin's dating life to the fore again.
All I could think was, at least this time he's not giving his dad shit for not keeping up with it.
That's true. It would have been hard to keep up with this at this point.
Like,
Yeah,
fucking hell,
because
Adeline, make a chart.
He's too busy being concerned at the fact that he really botched that one. So
Yeah, that was all his fault.
Yeah.
100%.
And so Adolin wants to talk about Sadeas again. Sadeas wants to come and investigate in their camp, which is his right as High Prince of Information. And he's like, he's going to find evidence, like quote unquote evidence, leaking us to this attempt on the king. And Dalinar's like, look, I trust Sadeas. Even if I didn't, we can't forbid or block his investigation. That will make us look guilty. And Dalinar's like, I've been told what to do. Trust Sadeas. Be strong. Act with honor, and honor will aid you. That's the advice I've been given. Which you shouldn't say, because the next question is, well, who gave you that advice? And Dalinar is like, this is awkward. And so, from Adolin's perspective, Dalinar is now hanging the fate of their house on one of these visions. And it's the last straw. He kind of goes off on him. He's like, you have to accept, Like he's like, look, I want to talk to you about this. And Dalinar's like, not now. This isn't the time or place. I've tried 5 times. When is the time or place? Like, you just keep saying this. And so he's like, you need to understand you are not well. We have to stop tiptoeing around this. We have to stop letting you make increasingly irrational decisions based on this crap. And he's like, yeah, this is all crazy. You have to stop. I'll let you. I'll go to damnation itself before I let you drag the entire house down without speaking my mind about it. And Dalinar's just like, you think I haven't thought of all this? I've been over these same points a dozen times. Baelin's like, well, maybe you should go over them a few more because like this is serious shit. And Dalinar's like, I have to trust myself. Like, if I can't trust my own brain, then what can I trust? I can't explain it. I can't prove it, but this is true. Baelin's like, but that's exactly what you would feel if you were nuts. And eventually Dalinar's like, go, just leave me. And Adolin leaves thinking it needed to be said, but that doesn't make me feel any less bad about having to be the one who said it.
It's interesting. This like, oh, so we've had chapter where Syl and Kaladin talk about what does it really mean to be insane, and now, these guys are doing it too. Funny that.
It's true. It's going around, this insanity thing.
Sanity, it can affect everyone.
Who wants to be sane anyway? Chapter 25 takes place 7 years ago, and it's called The Butcher, which sounds very dramatic until we get to the end of the chapter and you find out what it means. Kaladin overhears some women in town talking shit about his dad and his family.
Well, ain't that about a bitch?
It ain't right what they do. You ain't supposed to cut into folks peering into to see what the Almighty placed hidden for a good reason. Which just, could you sound more ignorant? But whatever.
You gotta how come you don't gotta get cut on to be a doctor? Does that seem right to you?
Does that seem right to you? But and not only that, but there's a rumor being spread, at least by these women, that those spheres that Liren said that the old Bright Lord left for Kaladin's training. He's like, oh yeah, they stole those spheres. Sergeant says they were a gift, but he was the only one there when the City Lord died. And the lady's like, well, I mean, I hear there's a document. Yeah, not a proper will though. And who wrote the document, huh? The surgeon himself. It ain't right. And then Cal very obviously walks out and kind of gives them a look and makes them feel like shit about what they were just doing. And then goes to talk to his mom. She's like, everybody hates dad. And she's like, Kaladin, you're 13. You're old enough not to say foolish things like that. Wise up, kid. And he's like, they say that father enjoys slicing people open and doing things that ain't natural. She says, aren't natural. Why can't I speak like everyone else? Like Nana Terith talks like that. And what do you think of her? Well, she's ignorant and likes to gossip about things that she doesn't know anything about. Oh, well, then I see why you'd want to emulate her. I can obviously find no objection to that practice. Oh, I like his mom.
Burn.
I think it's maybe the first time we've met his mom, and I just like her. She's
yeah,
witty.
Yeah. They give a big description of her, so I would assume that it's the first time.
I think so, yeah. And she's great. She's awesome. Keep her.
Yeah. And so they have a talk about why the people in town treat them like they do, and why they feel about his father like they do. And I don't think that we can get any actual answers. They're just kind of putting out theories. I think it's this, I think it's that. Maybe it's a little bit both. But she ends up they'll never actually hate your father. He's too useful, but he'll never really be one of them either. That's comes with being a surgeon. It's the price you have to pay. And he's like, but what if I don't want to pay that price? What if I want to be something normal, like a baker or a farmer? She's like, I think that you'll find that the lives of bakers and farmers are not so enviable. Well, at least they have friends. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me having a 13-year-old, because to a 13-year-old, yeah, what everyone else thinks of him is 100% the most important thing in the universe. And she's like, well, you have friends, you have your brother. It's like, oh, it's not my friend, that's my brother.
Can it be both?
Yeah. And so let's see what else. She during this conversation, she's on a ladder working at cleaning off. I think she's cleaning off creme from this building. Is that what she's doing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
we find out
ice creme.
Yeah.
The water will turn it into rock.
The high storms dropped stormwater, and the stormwater carried creme. So in the water, there's material, rock type material. And if you leave it alone, it hardens into stone. So her what she does for work is go around and clean this crap off, and I guess she gets paid for it. And so he's talking to her while she's doing this, and he's like, they think that father stole those spheres. I hate their lies and gossip. I hate them for making things up about us. She's like, oh, don't hate them. They're good people. They're just repeating what they've heard. And looks up at the City Lord's manor. Apparently he hasn't seen Laurel at all, or just a couple times. her nurse now sees over her time, and her nurse does not approve of mingling with boys. Well, boys from the town, anyway. And Bright Lord Wistio's head steward, Miliv, had never liked Cal's father and was probably the source of the rumors. So that's nice. And while they're having this discussion, here comes... Well, I'm sorry. One more thing is they start talking about Laurel, and, she's noting that, hey, you're of a pretty high ranking for Dark Eyes, and an accomplished young surgeon of the right rank could draw the attention of a poor noble family who wished money and acclaim. It happens in larger cities. He's like, so that's why you wanted me to play with Laurel so much. You wanted me to marry me off to her, didn't you? She's like, yeah, it was a possibility. So now we theorized about Laurel and how she might feel about Kaladin. Now we know that there was more forces at play than just her in trying to make this match. And Kaladin is still tormented by which of these choice paths does he choose. His dad wants him to be a surgeon, and he sees that that's like a good thing to be, that this is important to all of that, but still he kind of wants to do something else. And we also note that's like, if he'd married a light-eyed woman, he would never be her equal. Their children could be either light-eyed or dark-eyed, so even his children might outrank him, which that would be awkward.
That's confusing to me as well. It's like you married a light-eyed woman and you marry into like, the nobility, and your kids don't get to be a part of nobility, maybe?
Right? Like not only you or your kids. It's weird.
Deeply confusing.
Yeah. This rank determined by eye color it's a weird one. And then here comes Cal's dad. He's here, Hasina, the new city lord. His name is Bright Lord Roshone. No time to change, not if we want to catch his first speech. Which his first speech turns out to be kind of a shitty one. So you probably could have missed it. It's fine.
I hate this place and I hate all of you.
Yep. He wasn't even going to say that much until like Lirin kind of prods him. But yeah, they find a space. Bright Lord Roshone rolls into town in a big carriage pulled by 4 sleek black horses. He's got an entourage of a dozen wagons and some soldiers. All very impressive to these small town folk. Could one man, even a Light Eyes, own that much furniture? Where would he put it all? And so, middle-aged guy, short, gray streaks in his beard, kind of, a little bit pudgy. He wears a ruffled violet coat, and underneath that, a golden takama, which is a skirt that goes down to his calves.
It sounds like very Roman.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just picturing the violet ruffly coat over the golden skirt, and it's bizarre to me. It's like somebody got into the player creation thing and just had too much fun. Character creation. But apparently back in the old days, the takama was like a warrior's garb. So that's a warrior skirt. And so he kind of looks around at the crowd. You can spot like a woman and a boy, and so maybe wife and son, who knows, in the carriage. And then he just climbs back in, and he's going to take off. When Cal's father's like, oh, Bright Lord Roshone. The guy gets out like, who spoke? Was your trip pleasant? Can we please show you the town? What's your name? Lirin, Bright Lord, Hearthstone Surgeon. You're the one who let old Wistio die. In a way, it's your fault I'm in this pitiful, miserable quarter of the kingdom. And then he gets back in his carriage and drives off. So that's nice. Good guy Roshone.
So excited to have him as part of the town. Yeah, this was going to be sweet.
And here comes the guy who makes Kaladin's decision about whether to be a surgeon or not. I don't want to work with this asshole.
Like Kaladin's thinking, like, that was Kurt, but I guess we should expect a warrior to be Kurt, right? He wants this guy to be like a heroic, light-eyed warrior, like the Blackthorn and King Gavilar and Sadius.
Right.
Yeah, but like he's already wrestling with why does everyone hate my dad, and along comes this dude who fucking hates his dad.
Because it's your fault that I'm out here. You weren't a good enough surgeon to save the guy.
Well, maybe if you didn't suck so much, I wouldn't be such a dick.
The rest of the townspeople are just chattering and gossiping about the soldiers and the carriage and the horses. You don't get the impression that they're upset by this the greeting that they received from their new Bright Lord. And we get his mother trying to sound cheerful, being like, "What do you think? Did we throw the queen or the tower?" We find out that in this game, the queen is 2 trios, the game of breakneck. The tower is 3 pairs. The tower is a loss, an outright loss. The queen is an outright win. And his dad says, we didn't throw either of those. And she goes, oh, well, what did we throw? I don't know. A pair and a trio, maybe? And a pair and a trio is called the Butcher. Whether you win or not would depend on the other throws you made, and more importantly, on the throws of everyone else. So it's kind of a foreboding end to this chapter, even though we're just talking about a game of They say throw. I don't know if it's a dice game or what it is, but who knows? So could be good, could be bad. I guess we'll find out, maybe. And that's the end of our chapters. So yeah, predicaments. What do you guys think based on what we've seen so far? What is going to come up next? And I before you get into that, I just flipped to the next epigraph, and you guys are going to enjoy that one, I think. So sorry, go ahead.
Sweet. Yeah, I really don't know. With what we've read today, I don't feel like, we had a flashback. I guess I would say that, like, Sidious being the High Prince of Information could only go poorly. So for Dalinar and Adolin, I don't think it'd go well for them. Whether or not Sidious would double cross them in some way, like, just him being in charge of this investigation, I feel like could only make the king more paranoid. Maybe not. I don't know. Then there's the bits with, like, his mom, the king's mom, showing up, and, like, obviously there's some sordid history with the Blackthorn and this lady that was his sister-in-law. That doesn't sound good either. It sounds like she's pretty conniving. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think things are not going to go well for Adolin and his dad. I think things are going to continue to go poorly for them.
You have been predicting for a while that Dalinar was going to be dead before the end of this book or something. So,
yeah, I still feel like that's probably going to happen. So if he's dead, I would say maybe they save that for the end of the book. And then the Kaladin stuff, we don't get a lot of current Kaladin to know kind of what could happen, but maybe things will start looking better. Probably not. Like, I feel like we may be in for kind of a slow crawl for Kaladin to get, like, things going in the right direction for him and the rest of these bridgemen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if for some reason Gavilar is successful, not Gavilar, is Gavilar? Is Gavilar Blackthorn?
No, that's Dalinar. Gavilar was his brother.
That's what I meant. Yeah. If Dalinar is successful in, like, uniting some of these peeps, these princes, high princes, and they're able to, like, work with Sidious on the battlefield, then maybe Kaladin's going to get some exposure to them, and maybe if they see him in action and they're like, oh, this guy actually cares about his bridgemen, maybe that'll be kind of an olive branch for him to be noticed by, like, some reasonably decent people. But other than that, yeah, like, I don't have a lot of ideas this week.
Do you think Dalinar could be successful in trying to get some of these other guys to work with him? Because you're like, I don't think things are going to go well for him, and at the same time, you're like, well, if he could do it, then maybe. So I don't know what you think.
Going well for him doesn't necessarily mean he's going to fail at that part.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
And so, even if he's able to unite them a little bit, I feel like the rug's going to get pulled out from under him at some point. Whether that be as a double cross with Sidious, and then Sidious is all set up to have a unified army that he can use however he wants. That's yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm following you. That makes sense. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a huge amount to add really today either. I was thinking about Syl a little bit, and, like, Rock sort of looking up to her so much, and while there's, like, so many different types of Spren, I was thinking maybe she was more like a piece of, like, the invested magic, rather than a specific Spren. Like, there are lots of Spren, but if maybe she's kind of like a bit of all the Spren together. I don't know, because, like, she's Windspren, but then even in this chapter, they're like, she's getting not more human, but more intelligent, and she's evolving. So I don't know whether that's a thing. And I was thinking that might be why Rock is so aware of her and that she's so different. So if Rock was like, if the Highlanders, I guess, were kind of following that, maybe that she is like an actual piece of investigation. So that's my prediction for Syl more than anything.
I think that it's probably like nothing new. I think, yes, we're still going to lose Dalinar at the end of the book, but I do think it's the end of the book. I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
I still want Bridge 4 to cross paths with Dalinar. Been talking about that for a few weeks, so that's not really a new one either. I think that maybe this new Bright Lord, where Kaladin is probably what's going to set him on the path to join the army. We know something happened to Tien, but I'm not sure what happened to the rest of his family. But it doesn't sound like this new Bright Lord is going to be particularly kind or forgiving or happy to make their lives nice. So maybe even this Bright Lord's got something to do with whatever happens to Tien, which would be awful. Not saying he does something specifically, but is somehow involved. Not sure yet. But I think this is kind of going to be one of those turning points. Something's going to happen between those two characters, or something will happen between Kaladin's father and this new Bright Lord, which will just cement his decision that he's not going to be a surgeon. Maybe he makes his dad's life really hard and is like, now he's kind of branded as being weird and unnatural in like normal society. And then the Bright Lord comes in and makes his job near impossible. It's like, well, and the older, so the former Bright Lord wanted Kaladin to go and do the studies or whatever, and I reckon that any of that funding or whatever will probably be pulled and he won't be able to do that. Something's going to happen that's going to force his hand to joining the army. So we'll see what happens there. But that's my prediction.
Okay. I mean, that seems really reasonable. That the new Bright Lord is clearly going to be setting the whole past section on some new path, and we know that Kaladin ends up in the army somehow. So yeah, I can see why maybe these two things are related. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's not like a leap today. There's some rehashing of old predictions, and I think we're still at the point, I think, of pulling together information. There's a lot of books still to go.
Yep.
So yeah.
We are, how far are we? We are 40. No, I'm sorry. That's not the right number. We are 37% of the way through this book. So we just passed the 1/3 mark.
Yeah. So much still to learn and fill in and see what we can figure out.
Yes, it's exciting. So much left to come. I know Joe feels like things are slowing down a little bit, he said. But
yeah. Well, it's a long book. We got time. It's just,
well, and yeah, we have to read it slowly because of what I'm forcing you guys to do. So no, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, those are like you said, not huge leaps this week, but really well thought out possibilities here. So I like it. Okay, we'll give you and Dac a minute to switch out dog duty or whatever.
Yeah. He's coming back.
No worries.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Man, there sure were some great predictions Jaymee just had. Can't wait to find out what they were. So if I double up on anything, sorry.
Yeah, Dac just has all the exact same predictions. It'll be great.
I've got two. One of them is fairly vague on details. That's just this fella Teft. I don't know. I'm looking into the fact that he's saying it's like, oh, you can't trust me, don't get me involved in anything, but he actually still does want to help. And like when Kaladin says, oh, we need your help, it gets him over the line. So I get the feeling he's in a very similar position to Kaladin. Whatever it was he did, he got the people that he loved killed. Like he's directly the cause, and so he's just trying to isolate himself from people because he doesn't want to be the death of any more people that he cares about. And I don't think he's going to reveal that until he's on the verge of dying. So there it is. Teft also not making it out of this book alive.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I mean, it was a big book. I think we're going to have a Tarantino-esque body count.
I mean, it could happen. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a war with crab monsters.
It's true. These bridgemen die left and right.
Yeah.
So,
So that's that one. The other one, this might be edging into volcano-ish territory, but I don't know. So Dalinar's visions, they're always banging on about how, trust the system. And I've talked before, I think, they're not saying trust Sadeas. That's how he's interpreting them. But I'm starting to think maybe more and more it's actually he's focusing too much on Sadeas, and the problem for Dalinar is actually going to be Adolin. because Sadeas seems quite happy playing at war, and the only political moves he seems to make are in response to Dalinar's actions. So, like it's only when someone from Dalinar's house does something that Sadeas moves to block them effectively. Other than that, he's just like, I'm getting rich, my bridgemen are dying, and I'm profiting off it. Fucking good times had by all. Except the bridgemen, but who cares?
Oh yeah, who cares about them?
Yeah, so I think that's gonna progress. I think like Adolin is just acting up more and more, and I think so. I think Adolin is going to do something. I don't know what. I don't think it's going to be challenging Sadeas to a duel. I think that's too easy. But Adolin is going to do something that is going to force Sadeas to move openly against Dalinar. Like we saw, like much earlier, like Dalinar's like, "Oh, you didn't just challenge my son to a duel and a public beating, like, did you?" And Sadeas is like, no, I did not." and he backed down. But I think there's going to come a point, Adolin's going to do something. Sadeas is going to be forced to, well, maybe not forced, but he'll feel compelled to, like, for the sake of my king, for Elhokar, like, I will have to. So, like, sorry, Dalinar, like, I'm going to have to fight you guys, and I'm going to have to move openly against you. And Sadeas is going to win that conflict. I think Dalinar will die in the process, and and then their house effectively is ruined. Adolin will learn nothing from it. He will blame Sadeas the whole time, even as things blow up in his face and he gets, kicked down the political pecking order till he's no more than a Dark Eyes, or like, one step above a Dark Eyes. He'll blame Sadeas the whole time, and then he's not going to have it spelled out that things are wrong, but until, like, eventually Renarin or Wit will be the one telling him, so actually, this is all your fucking fault, dude. You fucked this up. Not your dad, not Sadeas, you.
That would be an unpleasant thing to have to come to terms with if you were Adolin. Yeah. So I like that's very dramatic. I like it. Except for the part where Dalinar has to die. I like Dalinar.
Oh yeah, Dalinar's great. I love Dalinar. But just, with this conversation they've had this week, like, Aelin's made it quite clear you are ignoring your sons, and he's right. His sons are Dalinar's blind spot. That's where the things that aren't expected are going to come from. And so, yeah, his son is going to do something that's going to royally fuck things up, and Dalinar is just not paying attention to that and misses it until after it's too late.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I can see this. It'll be interesting to see where Renarin would play into that, which, like in your thing, it's like, at the end he's like, no, you're the one. And so then, are we turning brother against brother at that point? But that would be way down the road.
I don't know where Renarin's going to go in all this, because, like, he's played up as, like, society thinks he's weak, but Dalinar and Wit think there's a lot more to him. So I think he's going to have that moment. Maybe he's the one who, if anyone can make any attempt at saving the house, it's him. Yeah, whether or not Adolin resents him for that or agrees to go along with it, who fucking knows?
Right.
Yeah, I honestly don't know where Adolin's character is going to go in this story. I don't know if he's going to, like, I feel like one thing we haven't really seen Brandon do a lot of is, like, your character who starts out as a hero and then as the story goes on, it turns out, oh, you're actually the villain. So maybe this book is Adolin doing Falling Down, but who knows?
I'm trying to think of where we've seen that. I guess Denth in a way, except Denth was always the bad guy. You just didn't know about it.
Yeah. Like, that's not him starting as the hero and turning out, and then, like, as things progress, becoming the bad guy. Like, he was a bad guy from the word go.
We've talked about maybe Kelsier falls into that category.
I was about to say, Kelsier.
Kelsey's probably the closest, but, like, I don't know if we've ever actually seen him be. We've seen him do nasty things, but they were ultimately, like, he was an anti-hero. He was like the Punisher.
Yeah.
He never actually became the full-blown villain of the piece.
Marsh literally got turned into a bad guy, but it was not his fault.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably
wasn't a character growth thing.
That's probably the closest we've come in terms of a hero becoming a villain. But even that, like, yeah, you're right. That's not the same thing at all, because he was forced into it. He had, like, his free will was literally taken away from him.
Unless you count a minor character like Jastes or.
That was never a hero.
No, just like King Iadon was never a hero. He just turned out to be even more horrible than you thought.
Yeah, that was the guy. It's like, we opened thinking he was shit, and it turns out he was even more shit.
He was super shit. Yeah. See, I'm trying to think, is there anybody else? Like, Ciri and Vivenna's dad, also pretty shitty right up front, and just we didn't really see him again. But
we never saw him again.
Yeah.
I mean, I still stand by, like, aside from,
Yeah.
word of Brandon, we don't know if the city survived.
Yeah, he's dead now.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
whack.
It happened.
It was pretty whack. Yeah. Oh, Warbreaker, you had so much potential.
If we don't need to dive back into Warbreaker.
Anyway. Yeah, that's
Moving
rabbit
on.
hole.
I guess Bayon started out as the hero and then turned on her, and then
Well, but he
turned
was a
out
secret
didn't turn on her
guy.
again.
Yeah,
He
he
was
was
a
like
spy.
secret. Yeah, he was a spy guy.
He was a secret bad guy.
He was
Secret
a
bad guy.
Was he a double agent or a triple agent? How's that work?
Well, he was a double agent, but in a weird way, because he's like, yeah, I now fulfilled the mission that I was a double agent for, so now I'm going to fulfill the thing that you hired me for also, just because it doesn't conflict. So
I feel like he was a double agent who, at the same time, like had a specific honor code that was individual to him. That like, I'm going to fulfill these things that I was hired to do, but I'm also going to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Miles 100 Lives was supposedly a good guy. We never really saw that.
But
I don't
we
think he was
didn't
ever
see
that
it.
good.
Yeah, it sounded like he was more of a vigilante justice type dude.
Speaking
so
of Punisher.
I think you're right. We're due for one of our heroes does a heel turn at some point through like legitimate character development and not through like mind controlled by an evil god.
Yeah. Falling
Okay.
down. Let's go.
I
I guess he was also an asshole from the word go, but
that's a good prediction. I want to see that come to pass, just because it takes good writing to believably take someone that we like and turn them into someone that we hate.
yeah.
And have it make sense. I mean, anybody can do it, but to make it believable, it has to be good.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's great. I love that. Let's move on to for next time. We're going to do 2 chapters, 26 and 27, because they're pretty long chapters. And that will put us just almost to the end of part 2 of this book. Chapter 28 is the last chapter of part 2. So 26 and 27 for next time. And then we're going to finish up part 2 and move into our interludes for the one after that. So let me throw that in the chat before I forget.
Oh, you know what? I'm flipping through, putting my bookmarks in, and that picture you've put in is at the end of chapter 26 here.
Okay.
With the giant monster.
That actually, if I remember what happens in those chapters, I think that makes way more sense.
Okay.
So maybe it's just in a weird place in my Kindle version. So now we have some emails, we have a couple new patrons, and we got a new review. We had patrons in review last time, but Joe wasn't here, so we skipped over those. So let's run back and do those. Patrons first. Get your fairing list ready, Joe.
No, okay. Fairings. Let's see. Did you ever dance with a fairing in the pale moonlight? Or
No.
okay.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
Okay, the first one is our new misting level backer, Isaiah.
Isaiah, you can store determination. Pinnacle.
I always like the name of that one. You sound really awesome when you're a pinnacle. And the next one is Garbage Pig.
Garbage Pig. You can store senses. Wind Whisper.
You can store all those pig senses.
Yeah.
Sniffing around in the garbage.
Looking for mushrooms.
And then one of our new review, so Misting Time.
Sure.
Change gears. One of my favorite usernames that I've seen in these reviews. This is Sifu Hotman.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Last Airbender stuff. I love it. The title of the review is Wuzzing with the Review. And then it's 5 stars. These guys are super fun. Lighthearted, quick-witted, with wit in capitalized letters there. It's been great listening to the stories that I love unfold in a more careful, deliberate way, giving me insights into Brandon's writing, which I've never considered. Keep up the good work, Data, Joe, Jamie, and Dac. Much love from Utah. Hope to see you guys next week at the con, which we didn't make it to the con this year. I'm hoping for next year. Next year is going to be crazy with the new Stormlight book.
Oh, yeah.
I was considering putting aside, some of the Patreon money just to make sure that I can afford to go. But we'll see if some more uses for that come up. But so, yes, going to try. I won't get into that. So trying for next year, I hope. But thank you, Sifu Hotman, for your review.
Sifu Hotman, you're a leecher.
Flameo.
Flameo, Toph. Flameo.
Okay, so now let's do a couple of emails, and we've got at least one with a new 5-star Spotify screenshot in here. So keep your misting list handy. This one is from Aish. It says, caught up. Hello, everyone. I had emailed you a little while ago, and now I'm officially caught up. I read a little ahead in Way of Kings. Listening to you read my email was fun, but I wanted to say my name is pronounced, it's Aish. I-S-H, so Aish. I am not at all offended at being called a newbie. I'm excited to be part of the Brandon Sanderson fandom and experiencing it all for the first time along with you guys. Okay, I have 2 questions. Number 1, how did you all meet? I know Data and Joe are brothers, but how did you guys meet Dac and Jaymee? I think I remember something about you guys said about meeting online. I also think you guys have not all met in person. So I'll take the first part of that is that Dac and I met on the Red versus Blue forums.
Yeah.
Was it the comic book movies?
Comic
thing?
book movies thread on that forum in like 2005.
Yeah, we were both interested in comic book movies, and we both watched, I guess, Red versus Blue at the time. Have not watched that in forever. And so, hanging out on online forums, meeting people, played a bunch of Halo together, had good times back in the day when that would have been like my college days.
Yeah.
Mid 2000s. Wow, what a time.
And so I met Dac in person just once, at least once.
It was once, 2013. We both went to Poet's Place.
Yeah, we both went to Poet's Place in Colorado and hung out for a few days. So, but I don't know how Dac and Jaymee met. If you want to tell amazing stories about that.
Well,
Okay. So Dac and I met at Dac's stepbrother married my friend from university. And so we met at their wedding coming up on it was already been 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago.
Yep.
Wow.
And we did not continue to go out after that.
not for lack of trying, mind you.
Not for lack of trying. Dac was very enthusiastic and I was a little terrified. And then a year later, we had a friend's 30th birthday party, and Dac was dressed as Marty McFly. And how could I say no to that? And here we are.
Sure.
We hadn't spoken in like 10 months, and I'm just like, well, I'll probably never see her again. And then randomly bumped into her at a mutual friend's party.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Turns out we were destined to be together. And then
universe is just like, fucking hell, get on with it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And I've never met Dac or Joe. No, not Dac. Oh my God.
You have met Dac at some point. Yep.
I live with Dac.
Yeah.
I see him every day.
Yeah. You'll meet Data soon.
Yeah, in February.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Oh, I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. That answered that question. Number 2, I'm a big library person. My first job was at the library when I was 14. I borrow books from the library all the time and take my 3-year-old every week to get 10 books for him. I don't buy a ton of books unless I really love them. Have now been buying Sanderson books. So, in the chapter where Shallan meets Yasna, I found the Palladium in Shallan's father's library of 80 books fascinating. It didn't seem like much to her, but I feel like it's a lot. So my question is, what kind of books do you guys have in your home library, and how many? I know, Data, you love your Kindle. So, yeah. Who wants to go first with what's your home library look like?
Oh, shit. Disorganized
now.
That's good.
I have quite a few digital books, but I do have a lot of physical copies. Right now, I basically have like two floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Probably, I would say about, 40 to 50 books on each shelf. So I'll probably have about 100 books.
Nice. So you're pretty close to Shallan's father and his library, except I assume that yours are less nonfiction. As I recall, you got a lot of manga on there.
I do have a lot of manga. I've stopped buying physical manga because you can get like a $4 subscription a month to Shonen Jump and just read it all online now. So I still buy one series on physical media just because I like to have the book. But yeah, for the most part, I don't buy physical copies of manga anymore. But yeah, I do actually have quite a few nonfiction books. Most of them are textbooks. Mm-hmm. I liked a lot of my textbooks in college, so I still have some of them.
Nice. I think I have one of my textbooks from college left on my shelf. It's Statistics for People Who Think They Hate Statistics.
Sure. And we know you love statistics. So.
Dac, Jaymee, I assume you guys share some bookshelves, so what does that look like?
Yeah, disorganized. I'm trying to get things more organized, but that's not easy, especially when I have a stupid habit of buying more and then I've got to rearrange everything again. But yeah, no, we've got quite a few shelves, and a lot of them full of my comics.
Sure, comics.
I was going to say, like, 95% of our shelf is Dac's books and comics.
I'm not gonna go. No, I'll say closer to 2/3. I don't think 95.
Interesting.
I don't think I have that many books.
No, but
But we're also developing a pretty crazy library for our daughter. So
Nice.
she's got a bookshelf in the playroom, a bookshelf in the lounge room, and a big bookshelf in her bedroom. So
Wow.
she will be a big reader.
Yeah, try to do that with my kids too. Lots of books.
Mm-hmm.
Way more books for them than for me, and they love reading. They're always like, read. So I want to encourage that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what I have. What does my library look like? Once upon a time, I had a bunch of books that I collected from various times and places in my life. But after several moves, most of those are now gone with only a few holdovers. Now I do read mostly on my Kindle. I save buying physical copies for like if I really love something, I'll buy a physical copy. If like I've got a collection of the Leatherbounds by Brandon or signed first editions of other stuff. So I save it for like special editions or special cases. Like I have most of the Dresden Files. I have signed first edition hardcovers. The first 6 weren't actually the first edition of the first 6 is actually paperback. So it's harder to get hardcovers of those because they weren't originally printed in hardcover. What else? I've got some random other like special edition, like Subterranean Press does some really nice special editions. I got like a Ready Player One from them that they did a beautiful special edition with illustrations of. Some random stuff from Kickstarter, and then a bunch of comics also. Some Dresden Files comics, some Brandon comics, the whole run of Girl Genius, which is my favorite web comic. I've got all of those in physical copies. So it's a bunch of random stuff, but I don't do nonfiction very much. I think I've got like 2, maybe just 1 autobiography. I've got Felicia Day's autobiography that somebody gave me, which is a pretty good book. I may have J. Michael Straczynski's Becoming Superman here somewhere too. And then I looked over at my shelf and saw that I have Tobin's Spirit Guide from Ghostbusters. So, random weirdness. But I love books. I recognized that I can't buy as many as I would want. So I limit myself specifically to special cases. So I think we've all answered that one. Thank you, Aish. Aish also sent. Oh, I'm sorry. No, there's also sent his 5-star review on Spotify and put the screenshot on here. Lastly, they say, I love it when Dac calls people dickheads. I'm not sure if it's the accent, but it's always on point. Wuzzing to the time of next. Colo, P.S. Fasher, Crabs Ahoy. So
Nice.
They did send us a 5-star review on Spotify. So
Oh, yeah. 5-star review. Okay, Aish. You know what, Aish? I see you as a oh shoot, I had it written down actually because I walked away from my list. A seeker, that's what it was. Yeah, same power as Marsh. Seeker.
Nice. We've got a few more emails, but I think I'm going to read just one more for today and then we will wrap. This one is from Richard, and the title is White Sand.
The thick book?
Yes, exactly. Richard the Thick Book.
Hey!
Richard says, since I'm almost caught up to the end of Mistborn, I was looking for the White Sand Omnibus. Every site with the Omnibus said it would release April 2024, so I was confused that you guys already read it. Luckily, I found a site to just read it online. I'm still going to buy it when I can. I did find it a bit weird. I did find it a weird read. A lot of dialogue that doesn't connect, like when Chris found out the Beggar King was Gevin, she said, because you called me Chris. I went back and never found that piece of dialogue. Plus, Brandon mentioned at the Defiant launch party he will be rewriting his prose version of White Sand, so can't wait for that. P.S. There's a new Miracle of Sound song that would be a perfect fit for one of the Secret Project books, which greetings from Richard from the Netherlands. So I was just going to address the various things once we get to the end. I'll start with the P.S. I had the exact same thought about that song and that book, so you were not alone. We did the Kickstarter, or it was actually an Indiegogo campaign for the White Sand Omnibus, so we probably got it before it was publicly available, although I didn't think it would be April 2024 before it became publicly available. They should print it up, a bunch of them. I mean, I haven't been keeping track of when anybody can buy it because we got ours, but it has been available.
We had to wait a while for ours too.
Yeah, we did. It has been available for a while in PDF from online formats from the company Dynamite, who made the comic. So you can go to their website and buy it there, even if the hard copy is not available. I'm pretty sure that we did touch on in our episodes that we did see that bit where Gevin calls her Chris. So if I remember correctly, that's definitely in there. You may have just missed it. I think that answers all those pieces. Oh, except for there is the prose version of White Sand coming out, which, yes, I was honestly slightly disturbed when he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do a prose version of White Sand, which I'm like, well, now what's going to be canon? The whole reason I even went through all the trouble of getting us this graphic novel, which was a hassle, was because this was the only way to read the canon version of this book or of this story, I guess I should say. And now he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and write the prose version. I'm like, well, how different is that going to be? Are we going to have to go back and read that? So yes, I'm a little miffed with Brandon that he's decided to release an official prose version of the book after our show did the comic version. But when it comes out, I will read it, obviously, because how could I not? And decide from there if we actually need to go back and read it again, depending on how different it is. I think it would have to be pretty significantly different for me to want us to do it on the show again.
He's gonna pull a George Lucas and just like when Bayon tries to stop Chris getting killed, just does the no.
I thought you were gonna say he's just gonna add a bunch of CG like creatures in the background of all of throughout the whole book. There's a giant lizard that a guy's riding on for why? No real reason. But yeah, so I think
he's gonna replace something with walkie-talkies, and I couldn't think of anything funny to replace.
I think the most likely thing that would happen is that there will be some differences, and maybe we will do an episode where after I've read it, I go over the differences and we talk about the changes that were made so that you guys would be up to date on the most canon information. But I don't think that we would go through the whole book unless, like I said, unless it was seriously different. But that's just my thought as of now. Who knows by the time it comes out. But thank you, Richard, from the Netherlands, for your email. And Aish, if anyone wants to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Like I said, we still have a couple in there that I'm going to get to next time probably. So if you sent yours and haven't heard it yet, that's probably why. Also, we're at least an episode ahead at this point, so it may be that we recorded this before you sent yours if you sent an email. So remember, everyone who's following along, for next time, we're doing 2 chapters, 26 and 27, to bring us real close to the end of part 2 of 5 parts in this book. You can find us on Instagram and Patreon, where by the time this comes out, I should be done uploading my read of The Sunlit Man and probably started in on uploading episodes of my read of Defiant, the 4th book and final book in the Skyward books. So you can find us there. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all the places on the internet where things are happening. We're there. We're hidden in a corner, trying not to be too conspicuous. So 2 chapters for next time. Music by Miracle of Sound. And wasn't to the time of next. Colo, P.S. Fashion. Crab at thee.